everybody wants to talk about delusion like if it's a bad thing. And don't get me wrong, that straitjacket energy is for real. And when you go so far off the rails and can't tell between reality and fantasy, or solid and emotional, reality really does begin to slip through your fingers and you begin to lose control. But we often get scared of things for their potency and quickly disregard them instead of giving them the proper investigation that they need. For example, reasonable delusion. When you add more reason and direction to these imaginations, to these non physical elements, then we're starting to give more direction and flow for where our creative energies go to. And instead of us creating situations that end up becoming a detriment to us, we start creating more idyllic situations. Delusion is really more so tapping into our subconscious to show us what our ideals are, what we really want out of reality, what we're really genuinely trying to see. And that's a very valuable thing. When you lose that ability to be that creative, you're stuck in reality or physical reality, or at least into your surroundings and what your environment's presenting you. And now you are a victim to the programming that is allowed by your environment instead of having an internal world that is expansive, that lets you, consider all the possibilities that are beyond your environment. This is where imagination comes into. But because of this dry ass Saturn filled world, which is not necessarily the worst, the way it's expressed now is definitely unhealthy, but it's not necessarily bad energy. The Saturn energy, the effort energy, the boundaries and restrictions, the limitation energy, it causes growth, that necessary constriction and dryness of emotion. So for us to take things seriously, for us to really put ourselves within physical reality and build some structure and stability for ourselves, which is very crucial. But we get too deep into that energy and forgetting the reason that we did it is so that we could fulfill our ideals, so that we can be in our ideal state of being, so that we can fill out our dreams and imaginations, our childlike state of beings that come out that often get smushed. And this whole energy is so related to Piscean energy, but this is energy that is within everybody, not just Pisces or those with Pisces placements, even though it's very Piscean. But or even just coming off of the age of Pisces. So all of Western civilization is entrenched in this Piscean energy that we really have to learn to navigate, or else we can really slip through the cracks. For example, Christianity obviously came out of that Piscean age, which is the most recent astrological age within the 2,000 years that had passed, with us entering into the age of Aquarius now, where the backdrop of the skies where the solstices happen and stuff like that was where is positioned, in where Pisces was, where the solar system is kind of rotating around that part of the sky where we were. Um, so when that energy was there, look at the idyllic nature of Jesus, the all-encompassing nature of Jesus. That's really Pisces' ideal, being able to love everyone and everything. But along that course, you have people that backstab you, that are going to hurt you along that way when you're trying to achieve that ideal. But the powerful thing about Jesus and why he represented that energy is because he never gave up that ideal, even when he went through all of those tragic situations. And at times, that's what really helped him obviously get through those situations. And that's just one example, using that story that we are all aware of to demonstrate how it can be really powerful sometimes. Whereas maybe you can say it was all hokey poke or it wasn't real, but just take in the story in terms of an archetype or empathetically as if you were within that situation, because that's really how the Bible's written. You're Jesus, and you're supposed to swap yourself out in those situations, and you're living out your own inner psychology and all of the potentials that exist, and that's literally what the Bible is and how you should be looking at it. It's a book about you. But you going through those situations where you're trying to live out an ideal and join everybody within that ideal, but reality doesn't always hold on to that. And look how easily we crumble. Look how easily those dreams and imaginations get sullied and destroyed. And we lose that ability to generate it for ourselves. For some reason, we don't lose that ability. It's probably because it's innate within us, but we start directing it to other people. And this is all representative of our subconscious minds too, where we're not paying attention to where our conscious mind goes all the time. So our subconscious mind gets filled with all of these byproducts and waste products of the things that we don't want to be paying attention to, but is dominating us. The negative thoughts that take root that we really didn't necessarily notice, that we didn't think was a big deal. And all of the different thoughts and feelings and emotions that stack on top of each other that build our subconscious mind, that influence our automatic functions within our bodies. We don't realize that the we have two parts of our brain, one that is controllable, that is, one that is your command center, basically, one that runs automatically. Right? There's a bunch of functions in your bodies that you don't have to control. The subconscious mind kind of bridges you into that part of the body that operates unconsciously so that you can start taking control of these processes that happen within your body. And this is what triggers nirvana. This is what triggers all of these higher states of beings, when you're able to control your own biochemistry within your body. And when we're talking about the kingdom of God being within you, they were literally the land of milk and honey. We're talking about the promised land in the Bible. We're literally talking about activating those latent parts of the brain so that we can be our true selves in terms of really have the sight, really have the senses of smell, and really start to perceive the reality for what it is and have full access to all of our minds. But it's really hard when our energy, creative energy within this imaginative delusion realm is going to build other people's energies because we're relying on their structures. And when we go into this realm of reality of creative imagination, we are so suggestible, just like you are within your subconscious mind. Why all of these marketers and everybody is trying to use subtle techniques, whether it be color, whether it be sound, whether they're literally doing what yogis and truth seekers or whoever would be doing to themselves. They're doing it to you, but to alter you in different ways. Like, for example, when we're watching TV, we get into some deep meditative states of being in terms of brainwave function, where beta is kind of like you're all over the place, highly analytical, because I'm kind of semi-endangered type of mind state, which most of us stay in most of the time. Alpha is more of that relaxed. I can respond to my environment, but in a relaxed way and assimilated. I feel safe and I can maximize other resources because I'm not in an environment or a state of being of scarcity. And then deeper, it gets more relaxing and less conscious and deeper into the subconscious mind. When we're watching television, we get into those deeper, lower theta types of brainwaves where we are highly suggestible. So they know those things. It's just like how a meditator would be trying to lower their brainwave to alpha, to theta, so that they can subconsciously program themselves. And we can do these things, which is what leads me to reasonable delusions and the benefits of it. See, delusion is this magical thing where, and I've done this all my life, so I'm speaking from experience, where, and you probably know people in your life like that who I knew people in my life like that, and that's how I learned it, just by observing. I'm like, what's better? This person who believes that they can do something, from my perspective, seems goddamn impossible or highly unlikely, but for some reason they highly believe it to be. Would you rather be in a state of being where you want something and you just can't have it and you sit with that feeling, or do you want to believe that it's possible and do what you can to go and achieve it? So when you do, you don't have regrets along that way. This is reasonable delusion, where your environments and your reality and your current capability right now may not really show you the your full potential, not even a fraction. And I don't know how we've gotten to that states of beings, but I'm telling you, it's the distractions and our imaginative and creative energy being siphoned into other places, being siphoned into products and consumers and other people's imaginations. Now we're talking about, we subconsciously programmed about Bugs Bunny when you should have had your own childhood imaginary bunny friend, and y'all would have went on the craziest of adventures and shit like that. But because your parents were brainwashed by society, they set your ass down in front of the TV and made your ass watch Bugs Bunny, and now that's what's framing your subconscious mind and beliefs around things, when you could have been taking control of that. But it's not too late for you to take back control of that energy and start utilizing reasonable delusion in terms of your reality doesn't have to match up with your imagination at that current moment. Holding on to that ideal, holding on to that visual is very important. It encourages you to try and to go and push the open door, you know? Reality goes and tells you that there's no doors here, whereas delusion makes you feel the walls, or something like there's a secret passageway, and sometimes there is, and you never would have found that secret passageway otherwise. So this is why it has to be paired with reality in terms of what you're imagining. You worrying about what other people are thinking or other people's energies or what other people want, someone else's ideal, you're just going to slip through the cracks, and get lost in that delusion. When you focus on your ideal and you look at your reality based on the basis, as the starting point, as the foundation, then see how you can idealize your current reality, how you can idealize the physicality that you see on a day-to-day basis, and use that as your starting point. And I guarantee you, people will start to fall in line and start to respond to that image, respond to that ideal, especially if you're open and generous with that energy and hold that space for them to fall within that. That's why it's so important, because so much times we get stuck in those routines and patterns, and say we look at certain people that may be reacting negatively to us, be doing all of that demonic shit and be siphoning our energies, and we expect them to be like that. We don't allow the creative imagination of what a wonderful relationship it could be if we were to respond to each other like that, and don't even hold the space for them because we don't even imagine what it could be. That's what I mean in terms of reasonable delusion. Your recurrent reality doesn't have to live up to what your imagination can build, and that doesn't have to be reserved for someone else's creations. Look how much people make fucking reviews or reaction videos of other people making shit, of other people making content, of other people doing shit, and that fills up our subconscious mind. Social media is literally just other people doing shit. Oh, what are you doing, and what are you creating and adding into this world? This is where our imagination should be going. That's what should be filling the subconscious well over there. And I guarantee once you do that, you won't be having delusions. Your imagination will lead you to delusions. It will lead you to creative solutions. And this is why reasonable delusion is the perfect way to protect your ability to dream, to apply delusion in a strategic way, where you enter those type of mind states knowing what you're doing, but trying to create a higher potential, an ideal situation. And I guarantee once you give yourself to that process and you truly believe, you'll start to manifest all different types of shit. To give you one personal example on my life, I remember I wanted to go to film school when coming out of high school, and because I wanted to tell stories. I didn't know how I'd do it. Who knew I'd become a storyteller through the stars? But uh, there was this school, Ryerson, and I had looked at. It was said to be the best school within the country, and so I'm like, wow, and it wasn't too far, or I guess it was kind of far, but I just idealized, okay, I want to do this. Why not go to the best school for it? And I didn't ever really even question it, just more so gave into the imagination. And you had to make I had to make a portfolio and stuff like to do that. And I got in, and it was a pretty tight thing. It was like 90 students that they had allowed per year into the program. So And before, like, say I was 17, I never gave a thought about Ryerson or something like that. Like, it wasn't something that I had worked to or formulated a lot, but it's because it's something that I genuinely believed in, and I felt those waters. Imagine if I had allowed other people's imagination to go and tell me I didn't fucking finish the school, fuck that shit. But but imagine if I had listened to other people into what they were saying. Oh, it's the best school. Why don't you go to college? Why don't you go and do this? I never would have known what potential was out there that I could actually get into that if I had shot my thing a little lower. With this type of imagination, when you really dive into your imagination, you can get high off your own supply. This is why Pisces oftentimes, when the energy is distorted, they become drug addicts and they fall for, the sauce and all these other things to get that feeling of unconditional love. But within that imagination, when you practice that muscle and you incorporate reasonable delusion by using reality as the basis, now you have access to all of these biochemicals, the positive ones, and you know how to influence them with you. You could be in a bad situation, but know the ideal and kind of get lost within that world and use it for you. Who cares if everybody's calling you delusional? If you're regulating your own state of being so that you can accomplish what you need to accomplish without the drugs, my nigga,